believe in two things. I believe in academia, but I also believe in practicality.
You come across as a very courageous woman. For that reason, do you not think that sometimes it can appear a little bit intimidating to the man that you're married to?
I think one of the blessings that I have is I'm married to Starting any business is difficult. You're going to make mistakes. You cannot build a business solely around yourself. It's doomed for failure. It's very important for you to understand the client. It's also important for you to understand the market. The future of Hair Senta is for you to think hair and think Hair Senta.
Gwen Addo is a dynamic entrepreneur and business strategist known for her leadership and innovative approach across multiple industries. Gwen Addo is the CEO of Hair Senta, a top-tier beauty and wellness company known for transforming the luxury hair care industry in Ghana. She also is the force behind Hips Africa, a platform designed to elevate African businesses onto the global stage. Beyond her entrepreneurial pursuits, Gwen is an author, with her book Direction offering insights on personal growth and leadership. Gwen's focus on empowering women and African businesses positions her as a key figure in driving economic transformation and growth within the continent.
Your market positioning is quite middle class and upper class.
Yeah.
But how do you cater for the people at the lower end?
It's an assumption that we don't cater to the other classes.
Right.
These people have that disposable income and then they can decide to shop from anywhere else. There's a whole crusade on start. But there's never enough word on stay. Anyone can start a business. But the real question is, how willing will you stay in it when it gets tough?
So if there's a young person that is starting their business now, what would be your advice to them?
My advice would be that
So if you've just tuned into Connected Minds, now this is the reason why I think you should stick with me and listen to this conversation. How can you leverage social media for your business as a startup? Today, there are several businesses who are solely based online and they are bringing in millions of dollars into their bank's accounts. And I think you can do that too. The person I'm speaking with today is Gwen Addo, who is the CEO of Hair Senta, and she has done it. So stick with me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Derek. Feels great to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that, you know, after several messages, you agreed, to come on a podcast because you've done so much. And, we've seen it. When I was in London, I used to see the Hair Senta page.
Yes.
And people spoke about it. When they come to Ghana, that's the shop they want to go to get hair.
Thank you.
So, moving to Ghana and then sitting here with you to talk about the same business that we used to see online, it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Where do I want to start from? So really, for me, it's not surprising that you've been able to build your business purely based around social media. Well, let's say Instagram. That's where you started.
Instagram, yes.
But for many people, they're probably thinking, how? How did you turn that Instagram ability into real life customers? And you are so loved. People love your products. How did you do that?
Well, it's very interesting that you ask, but I also want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Derek, it's truly an honor to be here. I've seen the work that you've done with Connected Minds, and I think it's truly inspiring. And in fact, I know it's been a long time coming,
yes,
but this is one platform that I'd said to myself that whenever I have the opportunity, I'm definitely going to make sure I show up because I believe in what you're doing. I think it's impactful and it's changing so many lives. Now, Hair Senta was built purely out of social media, and I know it can be difficult. So you see, before the lockdown, before 2020 lockdown, was it 2020? Yeah.
Yeah, 19, 20, late 19, then
late
20.
19, but the lockdown was in 2020.
Yep.
Yes, so we're going to have a class, my brother and I, who is also my coach, Gio.
Okay.
So we're going to have a class on how to build a brand purely out of social media and then branding and marketing. And of course, the lockdown happened, and so we all had to close shop. So we spoke to a couple of the attendees who had signed up and asked if they would like to do it virtually, which most of them agreed. And so we trained about 100 plus people one-on-one via Zoom during that time. And it was all about building your brand using social media. We all know okay.
I just want to backtrack a bit because before that point,
Yes.
had you done any training in, building a brand on social media?
I'd done one. It was more of a marketing class in my shop where I invited a couple of people to come over, business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs, and then they came over and we did that. Yes.
But what was what I really want to understand before you carry on is, before you can offer a class to people,
yes,
you must have had some training and some expertise yourself in that area.
Okay.
What was that training for you?
So, first of all, I believe in two things. I believe in academia, but I also believe in practicality. Have you actually done it? Are you doing it? What have you learned from it? Have you failed at it? What are the lessons? Because all these shape us, okay? Now, my brother, Joe, is a marketing genius, okay? I come from a family where marketing and branding is a part of us. My dad was like that. My mom was a trader, and so as a young lady, we would go to Makola, take turns to open the store, try to convince clients on buying the materials that my mom sold. Materials are fabrics that she sold. And we learned a lot from her and then my dad, and of course my brothers as well, who joined in the business to push it. And then one of the things that I think also helped us was right from the onset, we had the opportunity, the market opportunity was that people loved the hair. But then no one had actually set out to put a face to it. Okay, or no one had been that consistent with it. And so we believed, okay, how about we actually build something consistent out of this? We didn't set out to say we're going to build a brand. We set out to build consistency. We set out to build trust, which are essential ingredients on building a brand. What is a brand? How are you recognized as one? When people can trust you, when people can believe that even though the tin of milk is unopened, once they punch it open and pour, they can trust whatever is coming out of it is going to be what they expect. And essentially, that's what we did. And consistency, like I said.
You say we. And, I've heard some of your interviews where, there isn't an interview of yours that mom, dad, brothers don't show up.
Oh my goodness.
They're always in a picture.
Yes.
So it makes me feel like you have a close-knit family. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. But is it right in thinking that the whole idea came into light between you and your brothers?
Actually, I always had issues with my hair growing up. I didn't have much hair of my own. And so obviously there were lots of things that we tried out. Now, the main goal, okay, is basically to actually grow our hair. People look at Hair Senta and the extension part of it. I don't know if I should actually say this, but we edit this, so who knows? But the main aim is to actually grow the hair. Right. Okay, because I suffered personally from that where I did not have the hair, and so I was in search of it, or I would throw on wigs and that kind of thing. So it was like a personal thing to me. My brothers were always teasing me, and so what I said to myself was, you know what, I'm going to build something that is not going to serve me, but is going to serve other people who were going through the same things that I have been going through. And that's how Hair Senta came about. So we did not build this purely because we wanted to indoctrinate people and say, hey, don't love what God gave you, because the root of it is to actually solve the problem. What is that problem? To grow our hair, to love our hair, and to also have the options when we desire it.
Do you think you personally have solved that problem for yourself?
I think I'm almost there.
You're almost there.
Yes.
I mean, the hair problem, almost everyone's got it. I mean, I lost my hair,
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. I
So
went to take it to get it fixed.
Oh, my goodness.
So
I love it.
It is what it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, a lot of people lose their hair. My dad hasn't got hair. My uncles don't have hair.
Are you serious?
Yes. And
so let me ask you this. Guys, are you still recording?
Yeah, they are. I feel like I'm on a podcast, but let's go. Yeah, let's do it.
So is this something that you make public?
Yeah, I've already said this.
You said this?
Yeah, I already said this in Ken's interview that I want to take you for a.
Okay, yeah. I love that.
And I have no issue with that.
You have no issue with that.
It was for me You know, I needed that. I needed that boost because my 30 years, right? When I turned 30, and then my wife took pictures of me of my 30th birthday. And I was like, no,
goodness.
I don't want to see this.
Oh my goodness.
So before she knew it, I was like, I'm going to Turkey. And then I just left and then I got it done. The following day I was in Ghana.
Wow. It looks good.
Yeah, thank you.
I had to tell some of my brothers about it.
Oh yeah, they should go if they want it.
Oh yes,
you know?
because it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and
I've said that if I have to go again, I'm gonna go.
And it gives you that confidence.
It actually does. It actually does.
So you realize that hair is an essential part of us.
Yeah, because everyone's looking at your face, isn't it? When you meet people, like they're looking at your face.
Yeah, and it's even up to you. You know, you probably will also look in the mirror and don't like what you see.
Yeah.
You know, and which is what I tell people, that when people get the product, I don't think they're getting the product as something that is solving a physical problem for them, because people buy solutions to their emotional problems.
That's true.
You know, and that's essentially what is happening.
That's true.
Yes. So we like to call ourselves solution delivery company. We're solving problems.
That aspect of the business, they're trying to grow people's hair, either through pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, whatever it is that part of the business running?
Yes, so it's actually part of the business model. So we started this business in 2008, actually, but we never speak about that. Wow. It was started as a brand officially in 2012. Now, before 2012, we were selling like how anybody starting up would do: car trunks, go to people's homes, go to the salons, try to distribute to them. And also along the journey, we started this product, which was called the Hair Senta Magic Booster. It was a booster cream to grow hair. And we did that for a while. But you know how these things get. The hair extensions business was picking up so fast.
Right.
Everybody wanted it. Everybody wanted a quick fix. They didn't want to wait that long. And next thing we knew, we shifted our focus from the product development into the hair extensions.
I guess that's just numbers game.
Yes.
You check the dashboard and then you saw that, okay, these numbers make sense. You're a startup. You need a bit of money. So let's get a cash flow moving.
Exactly.
But is that something you're going to revisit?
Absolutely. We've started already. We're already in the lab looking at bringing it back even better than before. Because essentially, we want to also solve that problem. Because there are two kinds of people, okay? There are people that want the option of being able to look different any day. And there's also the other group of people who feel, okay, you know what? I want to grow this because I don't want anything on my head. And sometimes it's out of medical reasons, religion, and all kinds. And so as a business person, it's very important for us to look at the full scope. Because who are we? We are the hair center. And so we're positioned to look at any hair problem that you have.
Do you know how many hair products I used before I went to Turkey?
I can imagine.
Plenty.
I can imagine.
I'm a pharmacist.
Exactly.
I went through the range.
Tell me.
Right, and I've got friends who went through it. They didn't get the results that they were looking for.
Exactly.
So they had to, get a transplant.
And that's where Hair Center comes in. Okay, so the future of Hair Center is for you to think hair and think Hair Center. Okay, so you're not going to have to fly to Turkey to go get the hair transplant. You can do it right here at Hair Center. Okay. You don't have to go fly out somewhere to do your hair treatment. You can have it done at the Hair Center.
The PRPs.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And then when it comes to the hair extensions, which we've primarily done and know, you also have the options of dealing with us. And one of the things that we do differently also has been the fact that, we look at the different types of hair textures that we have.
Yep.
And just like they matched your hair here, we would like to match something that is consistent with who you are and where you're from and how your natural hair is like. Of course, there are some people that don't like the whole natural thing, but we provide you with the options. And so whether you want kinky straights, which is more like our natural hair that is permed, or you want curly hair, 4C, 3C, whatever it is that you want, we have all the different textures to serve you.
So while you just landed on that word, difference, before you thought of starting this business, you must have seen some people, some competitors. Today they may not be, but people that were doing the business. And then you saw that and you are like, what, they're doing it. Okay, this is the twist. This is what I am going to do different. What was that thing?
Build a brand.
Okay. And what did that mean to you?
Okay, so when I first started the business, I think the major mistake that I made was I made the business about me. what I wanted, what I believed the other person needed. But you see, you cannot build a business solely around yourself. It's doomed for failure. You have to think of the people that you're going to serve. Yes, you can think about yourself because there are people that have the same problem, okay? But then you also have to think about the other person who also is going through a hair problem that is not necessarily the same as yours, but needs your services. Okay. And so I started with products that I felt, well, the market did not have. And so I want to bring something very different. And it did not work. It did not work year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. It was not working. People were returning the products. They did not like what they saw and all kinds of things. So it's very important for you to understand the clients. It's also important for you to understand the market, okay? Because let's say, for example, you come from outside and you feel things are being done here in a way that is not so great. And so you set out to be the change maker.
Yep.
And as much as that is great, you have to ask yourself, this change, does it align with the market condition?
That's true.
Does it align with what the market understands? Because whether you like it or not, your product is aimed at serving them. And so if your product is not communicated in a way that they understand or provided to them in a way that they desire, you're going to have a great product, but no customers.
That's profound.
Okay.
No, that's true. That's true. That's why a lot of diasporans speak about a cultural difference.
Okay.
And the fact that when you move to Ghana or any part of the world, you need to take the time to understand the people, understand the culture, understand what is happening, that space, before you decide to do anything.
Absolutely.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if we then go back to the times where you decided to just go all out on social media, talk to me about that.
Okay, so social media was first introduced to me by my sister Nadia. Nadia was straight from university, and our age difference is about 11 years. And when she told me about social media for the business, I said to her, we're not joking here. Well, you think we came to joke? Social media are for jokers. I mean, I'm not here to just post a bunch of pictures. I'm here so that people can take us seriously. And that was when she educated me and said, Gwen, the people that you desire are sitting there. They are watching you. So you serve them and they will give you that attention. And that's when my mindset changed. So you see, Derek, a lot of times what happens is that we underestimate the power of social media. But social media, number one, is so powerful. Number two, most of the clients that you desire will stop by at your store are sitting on social media. They are waiting for you to call them to action. So what are you doing with the people? And you would say, oh, but I don't have enough followers. We have people that do not follow us, but see everything that we do.
That's true.
So if you look at Hair Senta, for example, sometimes if you get on the page and you're looking at prices or products and you look at the comment section, you're probably going to get very worried and say, oh, I'm sure nobody knows about them. But you know what? We have accepted that people just like to come and view. Our social media page is looking more like a website. Okay, where people come in, they look at it, they want it, they press message, and then they start to engage us. They look at it, there's an announcement that there's going to be a sale, they show up. But they're not going to say anything. The only time that they actually engage you is when you say, hey, you're going to get free hair.
Right.
And then everybody, yes, because people get attracted to things that serves them, and especially when it serves them freely. You know, and then they're like, okay, then I'm going to engage. Or there's a sale that, there's a trade-off. When there's that trade-off, yes, then they are happy to engage.
So she spoke to you about it. Nadia spoke to you about it. And then, you changed the way you used to think about social media. And then now you're thinking, okay, maybe let me give it a try.
Yes.
What was the strategy? Did you guys sit down to put something together?
No, what is social? So in my book, I broke down what social media is, what social means, and what media is. And I don't want us to go into it, but when somebody says social, what comes to your mind? Friendly.
Yes.
Accessible.
Yeah.
Flexible. Okay. We were not very legalistic about the way we did things on social media. We were just ourselves. And what we did was intentional marketing, where we would do the photo shoots, do the commercials that you were used to seeing on traditional television, okay? And then we import them on social media where we know you're seated now, and then we were consistent about it. You don't post one day and then go to sleep. You have to keep on posting, whether people engage you or not. One thing that we know because of the results that we've gotten in the past is they see it. They're just looking for what interests them, and then they will engage you at the back end. And so we made sure we invested in that quality material and also humanize the type of content that we posted. We're not going to look at an international high-end brand and say, well, this is how they post, this is how they create their content. And so we want to do the same thing, which sometimes I find that we're doing. We want to be like them so bad, okay, that we try to do things that does not align with our audience and does not humanize our brands. And so they just watch us like a gallery. And so I say, do you have a product that is just being watched and admired, okay, and serving as an inspiration for other products to be bought, which does not belong to you, or you're actually carrying a product that is serving people and it's inspiring them to look at your product and engage with you?
You know, there's something you said that I don't know whether you saw me, but I just went in and I was like, ooh, I received it. Because when you start posting, and you just said it, that sometimes you post and you don't think people are paying attention, but they've seen it.
They've seen it.
You just need to be consistent.
Yes. They see everything.
Yeah.
They see everything, but you need to be consistent. And that's why you cannot get personal with it. What stops us is that we get personal with it and we think, oh, Derek saw this post and did not like it. You know, maybe it's not great enough. Let me just stop posting. Maybe the social media is not working for me. But you see, in as much as it's important, we also need to understand it's like having guests come into your home. You need to be prepared. You cannot tell guests, come to my home. They get home and you don't have any water.
Yeah.
You have no tea. You have no chairs for them to sit down on. Okay, that's how you need to see your social media. Prepare it. Don't just go and pay some influencer that, oh, I'm paying you this amount of money. Come hype my business for me so people can come to my page and purchase. And then they come to your page and it's an anticlimax. If they do not engage with you, okay, their desire has been sparked by what that influencer gave them, they're going to engage someone else. It's like telling people, come to my home, come to my home. They come and there's nothing for them. So please, let's take time to prepare our pages so that when people come, it's worth it. It's worth that investment. Else, you're going to blame the wrong people. You're going to blame Derek and say, well, he didn't do a good job because I paid him so much money to hype my product or to promote my product, and somehow I'm not getting the results. It involves the two of you and the influencer.
That's so true. You know, talking about influencers, at the time when you were doing it, influencer marketing was not this big.
No.
Now it's huge.
It's huge.
When I saw Nadia on the page, I thought she was doing influencer marketing until today that you've said that that's your sister.
Yeah.
Are you using influencers now?
How do I even answer that? So Nadia herself is an influencer and she's been a major face of the brand for a while. So she does the content, the creativity aspect of things. And in the past, we've involved, I don't know if they're called influencers. You know, Derek, I'm never able to differentiate. You know,
the celebrities and the stars, and I don't know.
Yeah, the people that have positioned themselves as purely product influencers, and then the people that have the popularity, and then you leverage on them to drive
sales, right?
Sales.
I guess you would still say they are influencer marketers, right?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes. I mean, they have some level of influence.
Yeah.
And so in the past, I think one of the things that also helped us was the relationship that we had with some of these media personalities who were very popular. I think they did a great job in pushing the brand visibility. But like I said to you, they will do their visibility part. You have to do the rest. The question is, are you ready?
Do we have to plan every post? And I'm talking caption, I'm talking description, I'm talking script. Do we have to plan everything? Or should we just turn on the camera and then off we go?
I don't think it's a one cup fits all type of approach.
Okay.
I generally will just pick up my phone and then I start typing. Another person would probably have to sit down, write notes and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. So it depends. For us, what we do is we focus on what we want to push. How are we going to push that? And then essentially we provide the means of doing that through the way what we write about. And if I'm going to give tips on that, it will be first, you need to project the problem that you're solving.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's what example can we give? If it's shoes or dresses, okay, are you frustrated because you can't find anything great in your wardrobe? And then you go into the fact that, well, we have these options of clothes that you can use for the specific occasion, and this is how much it is, and this is where you can find us. And basically going through the journey of leading people and calling them into action, which sometimes we don't do. So we post the photo. We don't write any caption that calls them into action. Okay. We just post it and assume just because it's beautiful, they are going to connect with us.
Right.
Okay, but people need to be spoken to. And so if you're not doing it in caption, you have to do it in the content itself, where your content can communicate with them.
It almost looks like because of how close-knit your family is, you're essentially running Hair Senta as a family business. That's how it sounds like.
Yeah, you could say.
Because you got sister in there, you got your brothers helping you here and there.
Yes.
You got massive support from home. My question is, you are currently not the social media face of the business, it's Nadia.
Yeah, I used to be.
You used to be, yes, but currently you're not. Now, of course, that's because of how busy you've become with other things that you're doing and you're trying to expand the business in other areas. But if she has to go and do something else, how would you carry the brand?
It's great that you said that. What we show you, and we come back to social media, we show you what we want you to see.
Okay.
So you haven't seen everything. Now, at the background of this are people that we're working with who are staff members, some working on marketing, some working on the social media, content creation, and all kinds. And so even though you're going to see the face because they're probably the head of it, they are actually not the only people that provide that sort of job, that sort of work for the brand. And so if a succession plan that you're thinking about or a contingency plan in case this person is not there, that's been, considered and in place.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
When you start running a business like buying and selling, especially when you have suppliers outside of the country, there's usually something that every business person is mostly worried about. And I've got friends who are in different types of business. They import certain things into the country. Exchange rate in Ghana. How have you navigated that? The goods are on the vessel coming. And the dollar rate all of a sudden goes up because customers know this is how much you're selling it for. And then all of a sudden, price would have to change. How have you dealt with it over the years?
Okay. Now, one of the things that we always have to remember is that people buy trust.
Okay.
Now, when our system is the way that it is right now, you need to understand people are holding their purses and they are not going to spend without applying a level of wisdom to their spending, which means they take less risk. And that will mean they are only going to engage with you because they can trust that this product will not fail them. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why right from the onset, we focused on building this consistency and trust, which eventually became a brand, was to navigate these kinds of issues as they arise in the future. where people are not just going to enter the store and grab so many things, but now they are going to say, who can I trust with my money? Because I don't have that much money now, okay? And so that is one thing that has helped us, because now the people that are buying are comfortable because they know, okay, I can trust that these guys can deliver. Also, in case I don't like it, I can trust that I can return it and they will take it. Okay, so that integrity is something that has helped us, especially in these times when things are not so flexible and easy on the economy. Exchange rates losses. In the beginning, we used to hedge, forward, hoping that the rate will probably, I can't share some of the numbers, but we used to hedge.
Right.
But now, at the level that is running, you can hedge yourself out of markets.
Yeah.
Where your prices are not going to be competitive enough, and you can risk exiting yourself out of business. So as business people, what do? You wanted to ask something?
Yeah, carry on. When you finish, I'll say.
Okay. Yeah. So as business people, I think what we've been able to do is to make sure that, number one, we're informing our customers day in and day out on the changes.
Okay.
Our customers are very much aware that, okay, now things are more expensive, and also we are providing them with products that I know has some level of longevity, and so they don't have to go through the whole hassle of getting a product that will not work for them.
So, I asked that question because it's good for people who import into the country to understand how to deal with exchange rates, fluctuations, and how they can still keep the business running. Because, as a startup, cash flow is a big issue. But most importantly, I have a personal experience. Probably one of the most difficult spending I've done is to buy a hair extension for my wife. And I paid 7,000 cedis from one of your competitors I'm not going to mention. And this was about 2 years ago, right? And a couple of days ago, I said it to my wife. I said, oh man, I just saw the shop and I just remembered how much I spent for the hair. So that may have been because of the exchange rates.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But it beats my mind all the time that I know your market positioning is quite middle class and upper class.
Yeah.
But how do you cater for the people at the lower end?
Okay.
Who don't have the 7K, the 5K, the 3K, the 4K?
Okay, so it's an assumption.
Yeah, it is. That's
okay.
Because I'm using my experience from other competitors, not from Hair Senta.
No. No, I get it, but I think it's an assumption that we don't cater to the other classes.
Right.
So right from the onset, we started with products that were high end.
Okay.
And so obviously the price points were very high. Now, we also realized that we're not well aligned. Look at your marketplace and look at where your prices are picked. Who are you going to serve? Eventually, you're going to plateau. And eventually, what is going to happen is these people have that disposable income, and then they can decide to shop from anywhere else. Yeah. So if you're not serving the masses, which your marketplace is predominantly made up of, someone else is, and someone is taking your money. And so we came up with one line, which was called Correct Hair.
Okay.
And Correct Hair did not work. Correct Hair failed. We tried so many things, it did not work. Now, this was supposed to be a wholesale line, number one, and it was also supposed to be our most affordable retail line. We set up an entirely new model for it. It was not in the Hair Center store. It was a company by itself, and it did not work. You know why?
Why?
Because Hair Center was competing with it.
Wow.
And we knew what we had to do, Derek, but we wanted a shortcut. We wanted to simply leverage on the strength of Hair Center and then think, oh, we're just going to work at this and that's it. It did not work out. We knew exactly what we had to do, but we were unwilling to do it. We knew we had to start the Correct Hair from ground up, maybe even dissociate ourselves from it so people don't even know it's from us, but apply the same principles that we did for Hair Center to bring it up. But we didn't. Now, fast forward, this enabled us to understand that once you have that powerful brand, you need to ask yourself, what else are you not feeding it that it desires? And that's when we introduced different lines, and they all worked beautifully. Some of them quite similar to the lines that we had introduced under the different brand name, which failed. And it went back to solidify the fact that in as much as possible, you need to focus on building that brand. And whatever it is, make sure you support it with other things that serves the general market. Of course, aligning with the brand promise of quality.
Quality. You must have gone through a lot of suppliers.
Oh, a whole lot. And a whole lot.
Yeah.
I want us to explore that. So I want to wait to hear what you have to say.
Because when I did that 7K from one of your competitors, I was like, babe, this one is not worth the 7K at all. So it's like anytime I see, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. If you love it.
Yeah.
But you must have gone through a lot of suppliers.
Yes.
And how did you finally find? Because this is what may happen. You've chosen to leave your job, start a company, gone to get some suppliers, brought some products in, you sell it to people, they use it, they straighten it, and it's gone back and here and there. You must have been very frustrated trying to, fish out the right supplier for the clients you're trying to serve.
Okay, so right from the onset, and I mean, this is real talk, okay? You need to understand that starting any business is difficult. You're going to make mistakes. And a lot of times we talk about the onsets, where you make mistakes. Even now, you can never be sure because you're dealing with humans and it's a human institution, okay? When you come to the factory is made up of people who are doing all kinds of things for that hair to be produced and seen the way that you do. If you employ people, I want you to watch them very carefully. You may realize one or two of them who probably are not aligning with the standard that you expect.
Or many.
Yes, or many. And so when they don't align, it affects the business.
Yes.
And so if, for example, with what we do, when it comes to the hair extensions, you need to add a glue, you need to place in the thread, position it well and sew it. If that is not done properly, the hair is going to have problems.
Okay.
And they're not going to blame your partner, which is your supplier. They're going to blame your brand. You're going to blame your company. And so it's a difficult journey, Derek. You always have to be hands-on. You have to open up your eyes. You cannot go to sleep. When you go to sleep, the business goes to sleep with you. And 12 years in business for us, okay, is still very early. We're nowhere yet, especially when we want to build that long-term business that is generational. And so we're still going through the motions of realizing that, this batch is not so great. And, over here as well, because of how we're socialized, not everybody will bring you feedback, okay, because that culture has not been applauded or encouraged. You go to the central market, you buy something, it's done. If it's not good, you dare not return it because if you do, you're in trouble. And we like to encourage that. If there's a problem, report it to us, let us know because we're still building this. Nobody has to sit down and say, I've arrived because I have a bunch of people that love me and that's it. No, you have to consistently work at it.
When I want to know how much time and resources you spent in trying to say that, okay, I want to work with the supplier for some time.
Okay, so for now, you're not suppliers, you're partners.
Right.
So my business partners, we've been in for that particular, because it's a huge factory, okay, that we have running. And so we have been in business with each other since 2016, late 2016. Okay. Prior to that, we went through different suppliers. And you would go and buy some few pieces here, go and buy some few pieces there. But we realized that the problems were more because you cannot track it. Sometimes you don't even know where this one is from because they all
is not consistent.
Yes, they all look the same. So if you're able to find a supplier or suppliers that you can trust, I think it really goes a long way to help, especially if you want to build something that's trusted.
So you said in one of the interviews that after you started a company, you put a bit of money into it, and then, you lost it. Where did it go? Like, where did you, where did it go?
Okay, so when I started the business, like I said before, in the beginning, I made the business about me, which was a recipe for disaster, because I brought hair that I felt the markets needed. And so when they would not buy, I started reducing it and selling it. And then at a point, I started giving some away as gifts or on credits, which was never paid. And I did not understand what it involved to run a business. I was just new, straight from the bank, very, very fresh to this whole entrepreneurial journey. And so I lost it in things that never got paid, in gifts, hoping that they will refer me in future. And we do a lot of that, where we start our businesses and we start giving freebies. We're giving so much away, thinking, oh, the more I give, the more I'm going to receive, and start abusing some laws that do not apply to what we're doing.
So if there's a young person that is starting their business now, what would be your advice to them?
My advice would be that you should take your time. It's not a popularity contest, nor is it anything that anyone is marking you for. I wrote that you're not rushing to collect a rush certificate. There's no one at the end of the line. Give yourself time. Don't look at the end product. Ask questions, because a lot of times we find ourselves looking at what people have built and we're in a hurry to start the same thing. Remember, especially for social media businesses, they will not show you everything. They show you what they want you to see. Now, how are you going to trust that what they are showing you is the truth? So try to go the extra mile, find the why, and also go and find out the how. You may say, they may not tell me, but there are some that will, because the fundamentals of business, okay, the basics are usually connected. They are not very different from each other. So try to take your time, find out from these people that are doing what you desire, and they will tell you the truth, so you will know how to do this the right way.
So I want to shout out Omaka Chukwu, who is one of our top members on YouTube. Thank you so much for being a supporter. And then also Agnes Apia on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for the support. And Desmond Osu on Facebook, and all the people that are commenting on Spotify podcast. We love what you're doing for us, and stay with us. Okay, so when we started, we spoke about, people registering business, especially this part of the world. Most people just register business, they just want to. In fact, there were times that when some of my friends knew I was in business, at that time I had been in business for about 5 years. Yeah. Some people actually go and register a business in the UK, and then I'll see them posting it on their Snapchat, right? I don't know what it was, but they just wanted to make it feel like they've also done something. They are not in business. Those businesses don't exist. They just wanted to register something so that it looks like they are doing something. Yeah. So many people register businesses, they get started. And for us as entrepreneurs, we usually say, get started. But you mentioned something that was very important, which is staying in there, staying in the race and, taking that energy from the beginning all the way through to the end, despite the challenges that you may face.
Yes. So there's a whole crusade on start. But there's never enough word on stay. Because starting, anyone can start a business. You go to Registrar General, you see for yourself. There are so many people there that are ready to sign up. How much does it take to register a business? How much does it take to start it? And these days, you don't even have to go and get a store to start your business. You can start it right where you are. But the real question is, how willing or how long, will you stay in it when it gets tough? When the currency fluctuations are the way they are? When your friends who you thought are going to support you do not come? When your family, and friends that said you were cut out for this will not even mention it to another person? When your friends are just watching you and not engaging you, they're just hyping you. Hyping will not place food on the table. Hyping is not going to solve the problem by getting the products out of your store. It takes action. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand some of these principles so that we focus on building ourselves up, our strength. Okay, so that we're able to navigate the tough times when they come, because they will come.
But the thing is, for you to tell the people, do the problems ever stop?
No.
In fact, do they ever get easier?
When you tell the people, oh no, I want to get your question properly.
You have motivated people to start.
Okay.
And now, what it is really is that, will the troubles ever get easier while they are on the journey? Because people need that motivation to be able to stay on. And they won't understand from all your ventures and all the things that you've done. Like you've been through several challenges and you're still on. Why are you still on the journey?
Because, when you start a business, you need to establish a vision. Where do you want to take the business? Are you establishing this business so that people can also see you can run your own show, or you're starting this business for a greater impact? Today when I got in, Derek, I asked you a question. Why? Why did you start Connected Minds? And I loved what you said. You said impact. So if, for example, yours is impact, do you think challenges are going to make you go to sleep?
No.
Yes, it can demotivate you. It can cripple you a little bit. But you make sure you get some medication. You make sure you do some physio, mentally, physically, and get yourself back into the game. That's the grand vision. And that's why I always encourage people to ask themselves this: where do I want to take this? Because if your key driver is money, and the economy is the way it is, you're probably going to give up. And so you realize that people are starting, but because they don't have that staying power and that desire to stay consistent, and also you cannot blame them, because sometimes you really do need the money. And so if things are not working out the way it is or how you expect, you think maybe it's time I quit and then start something else. But one thing that you need to align with your vision is staying true to yourself. This thing that you're doing, are you cut out for it? Is it something that you deeply want to do? Or what is it?
Wow. I was telling someone yesterday that when I started this, we started on 0 subscribers.
Wow.
Today we're on 23,000 subscribers or something.
Oh my goodness.
And it's been 8 months or 7 months. Why am I going to stop?
8? Oh my goodness.
Why are you going to stop?
This is a calling.
Yeah. So if you have 1 customer today, you had 0 yesterday, and you got 1 today, why are you stopping? You can get 2 tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It's just compounding.
It's just compounding effect. Yeah. I do definitely agree.
You have a lot of things that you do. But now, I saw the event you did, Hips Africa.
Yes.
And I said, marvelous. How did you birth that?
Okay. So Hips Africa is called the Hair Senta International Beauty Show. It got to a point within the brand, looking at the numbers that we're able to pull during our sales events and how much they loved the brand. We said to ourselves, how can we have others benefit from this?
Okay.
How can people be a part of this pie? And in making them a part of this pie will actually also grow bigger. Okay. And so we started where we got, maybe 1 or 2 vendors to join us during our sales because they had products that complemented what we sold. And over the years, I'd attended shows in Atlanta, in New Orleans, in New York, most of these hair and beauty trade shows. And I said, why can't we do the same? So quickly, I spoke to my brother, Jew, and I said, you know what, we're going to fly out there and I want you to experience this from a marketing perspective. And so we did. I think our first one was in New Orleans. Subsequently, we went to Chicago and all of those places. And then he was blown away. But he said to me, when we got back to the hotel, Gwen, we can do this. We can do this. And I remember one of the shows we spoke to the founders and said, can you do a video and tell people that we're going to do this show in Ghana? And he looked at us and said, you cannot do it. And we said, why? And I said, no. We've been doing this a long time and it takes a lot. You guys in Africa can't do it. He said, okay. But that was motivation. We came down here 2018 We started marketing 2019 September. We kickstarted the show. And guess what happened, Derek? These guys emailed us, and they didn't know we were the ones they had met before, and said, you know what, we want to partner you guys and come into Africa so we do the show with you. The guys that said it was impossible. And that was one thing that really inspired us. And we aimed for excellence. We did not tell ourselves, just because we haven't done it before, we should just do anything and people are going to embrace us. No. We aimed for the stars. We said, we're going to do this the way that we have seen it. And even if possible, we're going to do it better.
Yes.
And by God's grace, that took off September 2019. And it was a huge success.
No, it's beautiful. It's amazing to see.
Thank you.
That you've done fantastic. Something about me, it tells me that your collaboration with the family has made this journey a lot easier for you than most entrepreneurs that I've spoken to. That's very good. Would you agree to that?
Easier. I'd like to.
Not easy.
Yes.
But a little bit easier.
First of all, there are people that have great family members doing wonderful things, but they do not regard it.
Okay.
It's very important for you to analyze where you're from, okay? Your own matrix, and ask yourself, what do they have that I can use? And sometimes they may not even have the full thing, but you may have a spirit of empowerment where you're able to empower people, and that is leadership. So how are you going to be able to lead the people with that much potential to help you build this? And my family members, like I said, my brother, Gerald OG, he did the logo. I said, I want to start this business. I want to call it Hair Senta. Came up with a beautiful logo, which I'm sure you've seen, looks like woven hair, timeless logo. And then my brother, who is into marketing, I said, you know what, Ju, I know I can't afford you, but I also know that you can advise me. I made him my coach. And I said, we're going to talk every single day about the business and the positioning. And then my sister, who got me into social media, Nadia, I said to her, after school, when you're done with your national service, come work with me. Let's build this so that this generational gap that we have, you can take over. And then Kyla, who is my daughter and is now a teenager, can also continue. And it goes on like that. And I think having that spirit of humility also helped a lot. I was humble enough to ask for help. I was humble enough to recognize the value that my family was bringing. And I was humble enough to understand that it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it because their support is genuine and they are there to build it for the greater good for the family and its legacy.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
We're about to get a little bit into...
Get nervous.
You've grown up in a culture that traditionally has not really hailed courageous women. That's the culture as I left it before traveling.
Yeah.
How difficult has it been for you as a woman? Leading projects, basically being who you truly want to be from inside, and for people to see and to emulate your level of leadership?
It's a very interesting question. It's difficult because that is the trajectory, okay, that we've had to live with. But I also believe that things are changing now, especially because of social media. Now, more people are getting introduced to women that are doing so wonderful that it's not very easy for you to indoctrinate them or make them believe that they cannot amount to anything because they've seen that other woman do it. And they have that audacity to dream the same way. Also, whilst you were asking the question, I also thought about something that we need to address. A lot of times we tend to think the men are the gatekeepers, but women, we also are major gatekeepers. You go into a room, okay, and it's full of maybe 6 men and 2 women. and they are discussing who the next leader should be. And you'll be surprised, okay, because this has actually happened a couple of times where the woman will be recommended by the men or by a group of people because maybe there's a pool of names. And then you have other women say, no. Let's pick the man. Let's not give it to a woman to lead. And so if things are going to change, we as women need to change also. We need to start believing not only in ourselves, but believing in other people as well. The crusade is on self-love. But I also want to ask you, how about we preach loving other people? How about that? Because that is the real work. It's easy to love yourself at a point. It's easy when you're encouraged or when you begin to see yourself in a certain light. But what's not easy is to love somebody that you know does not like you. It's to love somebody who you feel is more powerful than you are. It's to love somebody who intimidates you. That's the real job. How are we going to be able to do that and come out of it?
You know, my grandma was very powerful in her own right.
Okay, wow.
She had her own house, her own room that she stayed. Like, basically, she had everything for herself. She had about 8 kids. And she wouldn't get out of that house to go and marry a man.
Wow.
You have to come to her.
Wow.
I don't know how she did it, but at some point, you know, she passed without having a husband. Do you think it is difficult for men to warm to women who have leadership qualities that can be seen and recognized by everybody?
I think the new man, okay, the new age that we find ourselves in, have some really powerful men, okay, because you need to be very powerful to be able to appreciate and to recognize another woman who is powerful and as courageous. And as women, we also need those types of men because they support us, they build us, they make us believe in ourselves. And so I think we're getting to that point where a lot of men who are demotivating other women or making them feel lesser about themselves just because they are more courageous is slowly fading out. Because men themselves, when you go to some of these pages, are speaking up for women and amplifying them and pushing them up high. I grew up with a lot of brothers, and my brothers have never demotivated me or demotivated other women. They are brothers that keep on pushing me. And I always say that I am a product of the support that I've received from my brothers.
Yeah, like I said, you know, I haven't heard an interview of you where you haven't spoken about them. You know, so it's beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to hear. And again, I would want my children to have that kind of relationship.
Yes.
You know, it's beautiful, really beautiful. Well, you know, while you're saying that, then the other question would be, are you expecting the question?
No, tell me.
Oh, you're not.
Oh, husband.
Well, yeah. So,
boy.
because I'm saying that because you come across as a very courageous woman, and you've achieved quite a lot, and I think you're just scratching the surface from what I can see.
Yeah, amen.
For that reason, do you not think that sometimes it can appear a little bit intimidating to the man that you're married to?
Oh, I think one of the blessings that I have is I'm married to a very confident man who believes in himself enough to believe in me. If you watch any of my interviews, you would know that I suffered from major inferiority complex, where I did not believe myself.
Yep.
I would not be able to speak to you the way that I am doing now. I did not think I amounted to anything, and I would watch other people and be intimidated by them. So I think one of the things that partnership did for me was to empower me and to make me see myself the way that I do. And if that kind of person, okay, who could have also been arrogant, is empowering you and seeing you and uplifting you in the way that they do, you will start to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself some major questions that, what is it that he's seeing that I am not seeing? And sometimes in the beginning you will think, oh, maybe they just love you. And when someone loves you, they empower you and all kinds. But when you look deeply within yourself, and if you're with an honest man, you would know this is coming from a place of truth and not just flattery.
And he celebrates your growth with you.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. You have a very busy schedule. When we started speaking about, your time on the podcast, I think you were traveling.
Yes.
And also you were preparing for the Hips Africa.
For Hips as well.
You have children as a mother.
Yes.
And sometimes, even me as a father, the kids are like, yeah, Dad, can we play together? Like, can we, yeah. And I'm always trying, yeah. How do you manage it? Because I'm not as busy as you are.
Yeah. It is difficult, and I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes we're not very great at it because you realize that the business is taking most part of your attention. Over the years, I've seen it's not great. And so I encourage people to try to find days where you do certain things. You're not going to have it balanced. I don't believe it exists, but you can allocate certain days where on these days, I'm going to do this. And if I'm not able to do it for some reason, I still have to make it up because the kids are growing. And why are you doing all of this? So you can build the life that you want for yourself and your children. But your children need you to be around.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, Caden wants a story every night. Sometimes I have to call on WhatsApp.
How old is he?
He's 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
Sometimes I have to call on WhatsApp to tell the story. Before he can sleep.
Oh my goodness.
There's been times where I've not been able to do that. He'll wake up. As soon as he realizes that I'm home at 11, he'll wake up and come to me, Daddy, you didn't tell me a story.
Wow.
Now, so I was just wondering, how are you navigating this?
No, it's difficult. Homeworks.
Yes.
Homeworks. I know the teachers are watching, they'll say, ask her about the homework, because you don't get time to do that. But all of that is changing. I believe it's never too late to fix some of the things that we don't do so great at. And I always tell people, you have to be honest about these things. You're not going to sit down and say, hey, I'm a superwoman or I'm a superman. I have it all on lockdown. There's no such thing.
But while you've come from a close-knit family with such a lovely relationship with your siblings, do you foresee passing that on for your children?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have two kids. Kyler and Jermaine are very close. They love each other. They are both in different schools now, but they communicate a lot, and you can tell that they have that empathy, because what connects us is our empathy, our understanding of each other. And I think that is one thing that we need to instill in our children: empathy for each other and empathy for others, because we're all socialized very differently. And so once they can understand that, they would know how to extend that empathy for a greater good.
Definitely, you've done a lot of interviews. You're answering my questions very well. Very well. Yeah. What is the one thing that you think you could have done differently as an entrepreneur?
Many things, but one thing: attention to the numbers.
Okay.
The fact that you're a great marketer does not make you a great accountant. And a lot of times when the cash is coming in, we forget to actually sit down and make some serious analysis. Okay, yes, you are making the money. But if you're looking at your overheads and looking at everything, okay, the recurring costs and all of that, are you making enough to cover the business and actually see that the business is successful? And that's what we don't do. We see the sales, we see the people, and we get the hype and we go to sleep. And so for anyone that's listening, I definitely encourage them that please take time and be a part of the numbers. Don't leave it to the accountants alone, or don't leave it. You need to educate yourself. Okay, don't leave it to your manager and say, oh, just because the sale numbers look good, we're good. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in serious trouble, and it may be too late to salvage the situation. And so get yourself actively involved. The second thing I'll add is the hype. Okay, we celebrate mediocrity. We award mediocrity. And so sometimes people are not doing exceptionally well, but just because they've been rewarded for it, they go to sleep. Now, rewards do two things. They can uplift you or they can get you to sleep. So we need to make sure that what we receive, which is a recognition, is actually empowering us and placing us on our toes, but not making us think that we've arrived. And that also keeps us learning, because the moment you think you've arrived, what happens? You stop learning. And so we need to be humble enough to understand that recognition should empower us, and humble enough to understand that we do not know it all, and we should aim at learning more and getting our hands dirty at every point of the journey. You're not CEO to sit in the office alone. You're CEO to get into action.
So then we speak about the leading center,
Okay.
which aligns with my aspirations, the things I want to do. It's beautiful.
Wow.
I heard you speak about it with Bellamundi on her
Yes.
program. This was years ago, I think. Yeah, when you spoke
Wow.
about it, and I said, wow, this is
You've
beautiful.
done your research.
You actually supporting entrepreneurs, giving them training, and then also giving them cash to invest in their business.
Yes.
How are some of those businesses doing?
Okay, sorry. The Leading Center was born out of my desire to impact and to help businesses. I think for the longest time, my greatest calling has been to help people. I feel the most satisfied when I can speak to you and realize that following our discussion, your business moved from point A to the next level. That is my satisfaction. Whether you pay me for it or not, what matters to me is the result. And sometimes I realize when I engage with people that there are brilliant minds out there, but what they lack is support. What they lack is funding. And most of all, what they lack is direction. Because I know that people can have the money, but when they lack direction, there's no good that's going to come out of it. And the Leading Center essentially was positioned to give you direction and to help you with funding. Okay, and matter of fact, we're actually focused now on establishing it not merely as a foundation, but as a school of business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the businesses that you supported in the past,
Yeah.
do you have a portfolio where you check up on them, and how are some of them doing?
Oh, yes. So they are doing very well, but we also had people that diverted the funds. Okay, so we had one that we gave quite a huge amount of money to do a specific thing, and they diverted the funds to do something completely different, like get a new place to live, furnish, things that they could have actually gotten better if they had rather invested in the business and built a business.
Yeah, I mean, this happens even in the tech industry, the startup
Wow.
industry. Recently, some Silicon Valley boys gave 30 million USD to a Ghanaian
Wow.
startup. Yeah,
30
and the money is
million.
gone. They squandered the money, and you keep hearing these all the time. That's why, as an entrepreneur, I say this all the time. It is you, the individual. That's what people invest in. So build that integrity and build yourself. Otherwise, you may have this idea today.
Yeah.
You need to prove yourself. Get the people that have supported you to come on that journey with you. Stay there, even if it doesn't work. If they believe you enough, the next venture, they will support you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you, but it's sad.
It
It's
is.
sad. And the lesson that we took from it comes to the direction aspect of it, and said, you know what? We need to see things to the end. We cannot assume. And a lot of times that's what happens. We assume that they will do the right thing. But sometimes we need to actually hold their hand and help them to do some of these things that we expect them to do.
That's true. That's true. What's the best advice you've ever received? Best out of the many.
The
you
best
wanna give
advice
two, that's fine. We
that
take
I
it.
ever received was from my husband. And he said to me, Gwen, if you build this business around extending credit to people, you are going to use all the time where you're actually supposed to be developing the business, working on the business to chase people for your money. And when that is done, you're going to end up not with customers, but enemies.
Wow.
That's the best advice.
I've taken it, guys. I've taken it. I've taken it. That's a very good advice. Have you got anything for my audience on Connected Minds?
I would say this, and if you've probably watched me before, I'm sure you've heard me say this. This is a quote by my father. He said, "Youth is a blessed time, but the blessedness of youth is only and fully realized when it has passed." What is he saying? That when you're young and vibrant, you think the world is your oyster and you have a lot of time. And sometimes you hear people share all kinds of semantics on when life starts. But I want you to know that life starts when you land on planet Earth. And so be intentional with it. Be teachable. When people meet you, please try to be humble enough, especially when they have blazed the trail, to listen to them, what they have to say, how they did it, what they are doing now. Pick up from their lessons. You are still learning, and there's a lot that you're going to gain from the people that did it before you did. That has greatly helped me, and I will always say this: humility, humility, humility. The info age has made us arrogant because we know it before they speak it. We've heard people saying it, and so we think, once I've heard it, well, I've had enough and I know it all. You cannot know it all. Yes, you can get the information, but to hear it from someone who has actually done it, applied all the right principles and still failed, will transform your life and shift your perspective. I hope this blesses you. And Connected Minds, I think you're doing a wonderful job empowering individuals, telling us the story on the other side, where sometimes we don't necessarily see it being shared on social media. So thank you. Thank you for bringing us the truth.
And if you haven't left a review or a comment, I think this is an opportunity for you to do that. Then I can shout you out in the next episode. Gwen, thank you so much for coming.
Too.
I really appreciate this. This is going to do a lot of work for us, and it's going to allow us to increase the number of guests that we can have.
Thank you. It's going to do the same for me as well. It's going to increase my visibility, help me with my impact work. And so I do not take it for granted. God bless you for building such a wonderful platform.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. And there's one thing you need to do. Just one thing. Go and watch the next video and stay connected.